Quaid Azam Part 112. Number 3, Chapter number 3, The Turbulent Twenties. Hindu-Muslim conflicts of the 1920s. In these troubled decades, the more the effort made towards lasting communal amity and a joint Hindu-Muslim flag, perversely the greater became an upsurge in communal conflicts. Such periodic bursts had, of course, been experienced earlier too, for instance, in the 20th century between 1904, 1913, 1917 and 1918. Those earlier periods had in one fashion or another all coincided with steps taken towards devolution of political power in India. For even as Muslim domination declined, Hindus more easily filled the vacated space, generating protest, which in turn invited reaction and thus sparking conflicts. In addition, as political power slowly passed from the British to the Indian hands, the process of transferee itself put immense pressure on Hindu-Muslim relations. Besides this method, perhaps born of circumstances of transferring British power in slow and small installments, sharpened existing divisions within the society, and issues like reservation of seats, etc., fostered additional points of communal abrasion. Hindu-Muslim relations in 1920s were also dogged by several movements that had arisen as a protest, and the very expression of these protests in turn gave birth to additional reactive movements. All these relate to, sadly, the darker aspect of the Hindu-Muslim interaction. Besides, as earlier mentioned, the council reforms of 1919, rather than helping to bring together, in fact, had divided the communities. In addition to temporary collapse of the non-cooperation movement, during this period drove another wedge in the aspiring coveted. I'll explain more about it as I tell you and read the content in the book. I beg your pardon for such an intrusion here, and we'll continue reading the content all along with it. So I beg your pardon. So the non-cooperation movement during this period drove another wedge in the aspirations for a national political coalition, which to a considerable extent had covered traditional divisions. One definite casualty of all this became the slogan of Hindu-Muslim unity, which either came to be reinterpreted pejoratively now or was reviled in press, in public, and by Hindus and Muslims alike. With the Press Act repealed and the alliance between the Congress and Muslim Khilafatists falling apart, the press too reverted to its traditions of sensational reportage of communal conflicts. The Hindu-Muslim unity witnessed during the Khilafat agitation 1920-21 did not last long. With the Khalifa abolished and the non-cooperation movement called off by Gandhi, the common front against the British soon crumbled. The Montfort reforms brought to the Indian polity through the Act of 1919, Dietary being its main feature, ushered an era of electoral political competition. However, limited the electorate, and even if at the district and the provincial level only. With these reforms came separate electorates. The two communities, Hindus and Muslims, were now brought in what can only be termed as democratic competition. And they were now brought in what can only be termed as democratic competition. and this over and above existing social abrasion.